We move on to the next panel. I would like to introduce Puan Nik Mastura Diyana binti Nik Mohamad of City Council KL. She completed her postgraduate studies in town planning from University of Wales, Cardiff, UK, and joined City Hall Kuala Lumpur in 1991 as a city planning officer in the Department of City Planning Master Plan. And she is now currently the Senior Deputy Director in the Physical Planning Division, Department of City Planning, Kuala Lumpur. Her experiences include preparation of the city development plans, i.e. Kuala Lumpur Structure Plan 2020. She's also involved in the formulation and execution of local plan, or we call it KL City Plan 2020. On top of that, she is also directly involved in the formulation of Kuala Lumpur Low Carbon Society Blueprint 2030, which is her recent contribution. In short, that is KL LCSB 2030, which was completed in September 2017. A bit of KL LCSB, I'm not sure whether Puan Mastura will elaborate this later, but KL LCSB lays down the strategic direction and clear policy framework that optimize KL limited resources in protecting and enhancing the environment for quality living. So this is a different angle to conservation and heritage. It is more current. This is more directly protecting the future. She is involved in managing development projects under National Key Economic Area Initiative Greater KL or Klang Valley through ETP, which is Economic Transformation Program projects such as River of Life, Iconic Places, Greening KL, and all that. So Puan Nik Mastura will elaborate and share her experiences with us today. So I would like you to put your hands together to welcome Puan Nik Mastura.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, first and foremost, I would like to thank you, the organizer, for inviting DBKL. My task today is just actually I want to just share with you what my experience, not related so much on conservation, but in terms of planning, in terms of how we mainstream conservation into our development plan. So when I prepared the slide, actually it was just a quick. I don't have not much time to prepare the slide, but just a quick thought that to share with you all in terms of the how planning, how we DBKL as a local government did our how we contribute in terms of looking into conservation as one of the main component in development plan. So basically, if you look at the slide, you can see that just now Prof. Ghaffar mentioned about the legislative aspect in terms of what are the legal provision that we have when it comes to preparing the plan. But at the national level, we have the National Physical Plan. This is looking at the overall picture of how planning is in Malaysia. So we have the physical plan. At national level, we have the National Physical Plan, and then at the local level, that's where we, as a local authority, play our role, where we have the Kuala Lumpur Structure Plan. From the slide Prof. Ghaffar showed just now, he showed us the structure plan, and then we have the Kuala Lumpur City Plan, and we have also all the guidelines, the urban design guideline, lighting master plan, cultural district guidelines, and those are guidelines that we use in terms of how we plan or how we control development in the city. And the legal provision under the planning development is actually, we refer to the Federal Territory Planning Act 1982, Act 267. This act is only applicable to Kuala Lumpur. It's not applicable to other states. Whereas for the Town and Country Planning Act, Act 172, it was in 1976, but this act is actually referring to all the other states. And then we have the National Heritage Act, what was mentioned earlier. And when we plan for the city, we have to look at Kuala Lumpur in a bigger context as well. So other than the city plan as a legal document and also the structure plan as a legal document, we also have all the other studies we have carried out. Contoh, okay, for example, we have the Kuala Lumpur Competitive City Master Plan. This one quite recent. And then what was mentioned by the MC just now, the Low Carbon Society Blueprint, which is a very important document because we are looking at the quality of life of the people. Planning not just relate to physical, but also looking at how the environment is, how we tackle the climate action, climate changes in Malaysia and as well in Kuala Lumpur. But we also have Kuala Lumpur Tourism Master Plan, which relate to conservation as well as relate to how we promote Kuala Lumpur. So there's so many elements or so many aspects relate to all this. Okay, so next. This is just to show, I've mentioned earlier just now that this, when it comes to conservation, there is a special topic in the Kuala Lumpur City Plan. But I need to remind that there are two legal documents here that relate to where we as a planner, there in terms of approving the projects, you have to look at whether the project actually is comply with the structure plan and also comply with the city plan, the two legal document. So I mentioned here we have the Kuala Lumpur City Plan as a guide, and we have the Urban Design Guideline, we have the Heritage Trail Master Plan, and then also recently we collaborate with Think City to come out with the Kuala Lumpur Creative Cultural District. Okay, so the vision in terms of way forward for Kuala Lumpur in terms of development is to we embedded in the structure plan to say that the vision is to be a world-class city by 2020. So when we say a world-class city, okay, next, I think we can go to the next slide. When we say a world-class city, we are actually looking at this world-class business city, world-class living city, world-class working city, and then other than that is the governance aspect. But at the same time, what I want to get your attention is the element of the distinctive image and identity. Even though we want to be a developed city, but the image and the identity of the city is very important. That's where the heritage and the conservation as element comes in. So under the Kuala Lumpur City Plan, this is recently gazetted in 2018, October 2018. It's a legal document where it's a very important document to guide Datuk Bandar in terms of approving any development. So we have to look at all these elements in terms of connectivity, accessibility, sustainability, living environment, protecting the environment, enhancing the environment, greening the city, look at the green network, the blue corridor, and the green infrastructure. And then we have 8 development trusts, 2 strategic directions, and 24 strategic directions and 73 key initiatives. The figure is 24 strategic directions actually. Okay, next. And a special chapter under this Development Trust 9, Distinctive Image and Identity, where we have 3 strategic directions: enhancing and strengthening city character and identity, vibrant city centre, and conserving built and cultural heritage. So Prof. Ghaffar gave us some of the detailed plan of which is actually from the city plan, and we have identified the city centre or area within the Dataran Merdeka, Petaling Street, Medan Pasar as our heritage zone. So this also relate to the project River of Life. When he showed the River of Life project, because River of Life project, the central area at the confluence of the two rivers, that is our first package of the River of Life project. That part actually finished first. And under this strategic direction, we have 11 key initiatives. And then among the key initiatives are promoting good urban design and new development. So basically, the element in terms of documentation or streamlining conservation into the plan is very important. At the same time, we have identified area that is national heritage area or secondary heritage area. That play an important part in terms when it comes to the guideline, because any development that falls under this category, then we have to follow the guidelines done by the national, the Jabatan Warisan Negara. So basically, when it comes to the planning in total, if you look at the plan, contoh, for example, one of it is we identify view corridors as one of the criteria in terms of approving development. So when we say view corridors, meaning then we have to have our iconic building. So where is our iconic building in Kuala Lumpur? We still keep the PETRONAS Tower, Twin Tower as one of iconic building, and also we have the telecommunication tower as iconic building. So the view corridor, that as people come into the city, then we have to protect that. So any development that falls within that corridor, then we have to make sure that they cannot block the Twin Tower and the telecommunication tower. Okay, the key initiatives in terms of conservation. Okay, you can go next. I think my slide is not that many, but I try to cover, relate to the initiatives that we have under the under this conserving built and cultural heritage. So this relate to initiative 9.3A, where we want to protect heritage zones, sites and buildings. So under this heritage zone, we have the heritage zones, heritage buildings and heritage sites. So the city plan itself, we have a overlay planning control zones that relates to heritage zones. So any form, because there are few overlay planning control zones under the city plan. One of it is relate to all this. So this also we'll have to read together with the guidelines that we have. Meaning that, for example, most of our heritage area, they are actually all those shop houses. Within, if you go into the city center, you can see the Jalan Petaling Street, Jalan Masjid India, Medan Pasar. All those are shop houses. If there is new development that comes in terms of in between these shop houses, then that if it's under secondary protection zone, then they can build 14-story building, but they have to protect the facade. So those are the control that we have in terms of. And under that initiative 9.3C, we have conserving significant traditional villages and intangible heritage values, where we have traditional villages. So we have identified traditional villages in the city, and we have the Kampung Baru as one of it, and then we have other traditional village like in Cubadak or in Kawasan Cubadak, I can't remember actually the name, but those are, we have identified that as heritage ataupun we call it kampung-kampung tradisi, traditional villages. And no doubt when we prepare the plan, the process of coming up with the city plan is a lengthy process. Lots of engagement, lots of workshops with the people, to get the people's, first of all, we need to get the people's buy-in that we are preparing a development plan for them. But at the same time, we want to inject economic vitality for the city as well. So there must be a balance in between, between this economy and also in terms of keeping our the city to protect our heritage and also protect our culture. So when we've come up with the first draft of the city plan, we have lots of objection actually from all these villages actually. Some of it have a strong feeling that they want us to protect their village, and that's why they go for traditional villages. Tu yang kita protect all those villages lah. But other than that, to protect this conservation area or heritage area pun is very important, because for our thinking, when we say we want to develop to be a world-class city, not that we want to copy or we want to be like what Prof. Kasa said, Paris of KL, but even other cities as well, they also put their culture first, put their heritage first, as to promote the city. So similarly for us, we need to build within our culture, within our image, to promote Kuala Lumpur as a world-class city. World-class city doesn't mean that it's be high-rise, twin tower, all those, but the culture is very important, and that's why we build in, or we mainstream conserving built and cultural heritage into our city plan. And Initiative 9.3B, managing and monitoring heritage zone and building. So we have the urban design guideline, heritage tree master plan, and then the lighting master plan also relate to whether it's heritage building or modern building, what kind of lighting is suitable for heritage building and modern building. Okay, next. Urban design guideline, of course, the basic principle is sense of place, cultural significance. We have multi-layered interrelation of various built forms, spaces, historical and social values, the significance of heritage buildings, the monuments, the sites, and also in terms of the Kuala Lumpur as a livable city, which we are changing, evolving, but we need to protect our heritage. Next, the importance of heritage guidelines. Of course, we need to put a control on our development to prevent from all this negative impact on the heritage sites, including architectural, social, cultural, and environmental values, and building owners, to help building owners manage and protect their assets. Contoh, for example, the Medan Pasar that was mentioned by Prof. Ghaffar just now. Our intention was to revitalize the square and to come up with a placemaking for the area, to change the activity in that area. But another challenge is how we relate to the building owners, how they also participate in improving the area, even though the area is already physically we have upgraded it, but we need to collaborate with the building owners to make sure that they also take care of their buildings, under the facade, to make sure that facade is good, and then to make sure that they paint they take care of the facade, and then make sure that it blends in well with the whole surrounding. And then thank you to Think City for having their office next to Medan Pasar, where they have programs and make the place alive and make it some activities in that square. And another important aspect is actually to increase public awareness, the importance of preserving and conserving heritage areas. And we also should thank you to the tourists, the tour players. Yeah, they are the tour association, because as a locality we create a place, but to promote it we need all these players to promote the area. Okay, so they are the one that bring in the tourists and then explain to tourists in terms of the uniqueness of the area itself. Okay, next. I just want to share with you the Heritage Master Plan. This is actually initiative under the National Key Economic Area. But at the same time, we started doing the project first. Then only we come up with the Heritage Trail Master Plan. Actually, if it comes to planning, it should be the other way around. We have to have the master plan first, then only do the project. But since we started doing the project first, but we try to make sure that the project that we did, like for example the Heritage Trail 1, Heritage Trail 2, is actually embedded into the Heritage Trail Master Plan to make sure that it is a comprehensive plan to look into, to make sure that we cover all areas in the city centre. So under this Heritage Trail Master Plan, we have 13 themes altogether, and then we have identified this according to the character of the area, looking at the historical base of the area, and then to come up with the whether that area have the traditional trades, the urban trail, the patriotic. So we have identified those, and to complement this also, we need to have some story behind this. So that is another element that we have started doing this with our consultant. I see that Mariana is here. She was the one that did the story on all these heritage sites, to make sure that when we come up with when we prepare the plan or the project, then the story is there that we can really put as a guide. For example, we put it as a storyboard. So through our experience, when we did this River of Life or other project in the city centre, one thing lacking is that the story behind it, that is important for us to put it on the, at site, to make sure that people can really know what is the story behind it. So that's another important. So now we have quite a complete package actually. When we do the project under the conservation area or this heritage area, we can do it in total, meaning that we have the story, we have come up with the theme of the area itself in terms of the culture that we want to promote, and then we can really put it the story, the complete story behind the whole project. Okay, next. I think that's the last slide. But basically what I'm trying to share with you is that no matter what, in terms of planning for the future of the city, the heritage component is very important, that we want to mainstream it into our plan. So now in terms of future development for Kuala Lumpur, we are preparing the 2040 plan, because if you look at the city plan for Kuala Lumpur ends until 2020. So 2020 is next year. So now we are preparing the new plan for the city, the 2040 plan. A lot of interaction, a lot of consultation need to be done with all these players. So for this context, more on heritage and conservation, there will be lots of engagement with the public. Okay, thank you very much.